My Lords, this bill is about removing rights and making life as miserable as possible for some of the most vulnerable and desperate people in the world. And how we have ever come to this point, I find impossible to understand. Now, part of this process is removing their human rights with regard to access to the courts and removing the court's ability to intervene when the government acts unlawfully. How can that happen? How can this come to us in any sort of legislation? Detaining and deporting people without providing them with any legal advice or even any information about how to obtain legal advice all contributes to this denial of human rights. I was in Belgium for a few days last week, and I speak decent French, I speak some German, and there were times when I couldn't understand a word anyone was saying. And the idea that we might not actually help people in a language that they can understand and in a language where they can communicate also just astonishes me. We are actually in an absurd situation where murderers and pedophiles could be more kindly treated by the law than people, for example, a desperate family who arrive in a small boat across the channel. And then there is the outrageous Clause 7. This is bonkers. And when I first read this, I had to laugh. It sounds like a 2-year-old. It's the sort of thing a 2-year-old might come up with. To actually say the Secretary of State can commandeer any ship, aircraft, train or vehicle. So the Border Patrol or whoever it is can stuff people into somebody's car and say, right, you're responsible for them, you get them out of the country. It's astonishing. Who wrote this? Has this come from a government that we sort of hope might be able to tough it out for the next... Well, actually, I don't want you to tough it out for the next few months. I actually want this government to go. But, you know, presumably this government does want to tough it out. Why bring this sort of rubbish into this House? It's actually quite offensive. In Clause 7, you are asking ordinary citizens, the British public, to act as border enforcement agents. I don't think any of us would want to do this, even the most rabid ERG member that you could possibly want. And this is part of the problem with the bill, because I think it's not a bill that's actually going to help the situation in any way at all. And somehow, is it designed to pander to the extreme right wing of the government so that they can say, look, we're doing something, and perhaps retain those votes? I have no idea. It's beyond understanding what the thought processes are. Clause 7. I mean, it's unbelievable, unbelievably bonkers. And it does show how this government is trying to exploit people like Just Stop Oil or asylum seekers or people like that to make the public think they're actually doing something about the problems that these people are facing. Well, I really hope that we defeat quite a lot of this bill before it gets much further.